Hey everybody, welcome to another H2O by Motorcycle. This is Jeff. One of the things I'm doing right now is I'm actually out at my little patio garden, just getting some tomatoes and stuff ready for one of my catch and cooks. And what I wanted to do was chat about what this episode's about. So I decided to go for a little dawn patrol and go see if I could shoot some halibut or maybe some sand bass. And this was my very first dive of the day. Just as I got my head underwater, I am actually seeing a large school of sargo. Check it out. This is one of my first dives down, and actually just at the edge of visibility is a sand bass, and unfortunately goes out of visibility quickly. As I come up over this next rock, I see a rubber lip surf perch that I want to shoot, but off in the distance is another sand bass that I try to take a quick shot on and miss. Here's also a school of opali that are actually fairly decent. Try to take a shot here, but he turns right as I shoot. This next fish is awesome. This is another rubber lip perch. Comes up, I just pause for a little bit, let it come back around and fire. And totally stone the fish. Comes back up and got one. It was pretty cool. The water was pretty clear today, but it was also overcast, so it created all these crazy shadows everywhere. And one of the things that it did was all the fish were really at the edge of visibility, even when you stopped and paused. So it was kind of cool to take a look around, and every once in a while you'd see a big flash or something big off in the corner of your eye and try to nail it. Here was one of those big flashes up in the left-hand corner of the screen. I'll slow it down, but it was a big fish, and there were 2 or 3 of them, and tried to take a shot right as it was right at the edge of visibility, but unfortunately missed. I've got 3 fish here today. I got 2 sargos, the silver ones, beautiful. Really big one here, and then a new species here. This is a rubber-lipped perch, and according to my buddy Cesar, he says this one is the best tasting. So we're gonna try this out, Cesar. We're gonna see how it goes. Gonna come over, gonna flay them up, gonna throw them in their saltwater ice bath like usual. Don't use regular water, just because when you use just fresh water, It seems to break down the meat really quickly, make it mushy, but if you do cold solid water, not only does it give it a little flavor, but it keeps it nice and firm. So we'll get those fillets on here and be done. Most of you are already familiar with filleting a fish, but I'm going to just go through a couple steps right here. First, I'm going to cut right under the first fin next to the gills. I cut from the top of the head down to the belly. Then I'm going to slice along the belly down to the tails, and I'll cut right at the tail, and I'll make a nice little slice right up at the top of the fish right along the dorsal fin. And from there, I'm just going to work the knife right along the top of the cage bones there, and we're just going to pull the skin and the flesh up away from the bones and slide the knife right along the bones. You'll just hear clicking, and it just removes everything from it quickly. What you see I'm doing here is I'm also, because the sargo has a thicker set of ribs on the belly, I actually cut those out for later cooking. Right after filleting, I'll dip it in salt water and ice bath to clean the fillet and just preserve it a little bit more before it goes in the fridge. As most people know, that I like to kill my fish with the Ikejime style, the Japanese style of killing fish. And what you see here is a beautiful fillet. You see very little blood. All you see is the bloodline, but very beautiful white flesh. And that's because you're going to cut right down at the tail there when the fish is still alive, and right up next to the gills. So you're going to bleed it out so there's no residual blood left through, and the adrenaline's not pumping through the fish anymore. And so you're trying to slow down the process. So that's what I was talking about. Here's your fish ribs right here, the fish belly, kind of like any kind of tuna, like that fish belly. This part is absolutely amazing, so we're not going to waste it. Look at the size of that beautiful, beautiful fish. Finally, now we're on to Cesar's favorite fish. Right here. This is the rubber mouth or rubber lipped perch. Check out those lips, big old yellow lips. Some nice sharp teeth. And why do you think they have sharp teeth? These things like to eat things like crabs and lobster. So, that being said, if they like crabs and lobster, this should actually have a fairly nice, almost lobster taste to it. And if you're wondering what I'm going to make out of these, I'm really thinking about making up some fish tacos out of these, especially the sargo. For sure the sargo. Gonna make up some beautiful fish tacos out of the sargo. But out of this beautiful fish, woo, man, they've got lots and lots of bones, so we're not gonna take the ribs off of this bad boy, because there's just too many bones to deal with there. I'm gonna put that there. Look at how beautiful white that flesh is. Oh man, let's take a quick look here. We got beautiful white fillet. We got a white fillet here, but look at that. Almost no bloodline whatsoever. I don't know. I think Cesar might be right. This may end up being the better tasting fish. We'll see. Got our little shot hole right here. That's where my spear came through. This actually looks pretty beautiful. And they say, do not do this. Do not take a bite of it like it's sushi, but let's take a try. Oh my God. That crunchy texture. My God, that was good. And just real quick, you can't see all the parasites, of course, but if you're going to do something like that, double check that it doesn't have something weird going on, because that's just asking for trouble. That's just stupid. So, although when my wife sees this, she'll say, "That was stupid." And there's probably a bunch of people on here that will say, "That was stupid." All right, let's get the rest of this cleaned up, get it washed off. Again, ice cold bath. You want ice cold. Here we go. So, if you have never filleted before, come down the bottom, get a nice grab on it. Try to keep it right on that flesh. You don't want your knife coming off the flesh. Basically, hold on to the flesh, and you can just work it back and forth a little bit. This is a little bit tougher of a meat, so I'm actually really excited to try this. I think this is going to be absolutely incredible tasty. Through. There we go. Look at that. First fillet from our perch. Quick bath. Get them on. Right back to the sargo. Sargo, as you can see, a little bit different color here, but that is all right because the sargo, I know for a fact, makes amazing tacos. I think I read somewhere that, or heard somebody said that it makes great sushi too. Maybe one day I'll try that. I'm not really as anxious to do that, what I just did with that perch, because, yeah, I mean, the color of the meat's a little bit more red. I don't technically really like that. One thing you want to do, if you really don't like the fishy taste of things, take this stuff off. I've noticed that when you take it off, the flesh is just much cleaner, much less fish taste. And then I'll show you another secret here in a second after I cut this off. So, one of the things is you've got this bloodline here. What I tend to like to do is just come down on both sides and cut it out. And the reason that I do that is the same reason, just come straight down. If it's got pin bones, the pin bones sit right in there. So if you can get rid of it, you can get rid of the pin bones. And remember the ribs from earlier? There they are. So this is the belly, this piece of the meat. So what I'm gonna do, because I want this piece of the meat, I'm gonna just cut around it. I'm gonna come right around, and no bones. And down here, same thing, remember? Cut right down off that bloodline. What that's gonna do is gonna give you a nice clean piece of fish, and it's gonna get rid of those bones that you don't want. With all these scraps and these fish heads, I'm gonna have to go crabbing at some point. So for the fish tacos, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take these slices and we're gonna slice them up into smaller pieces, bread them up, and with just some regular breadcrumbs, and fry them up. To try something a little bit different, we're just taking a little salt, pepper, putting them on a few of the fillets, and just frying them up. So here you're going to see the collars and the fish ribs that I pulled out, as well as this beautiful white meat from the perch. This was definitely a fan favorite of all the family, but here's my favorite. We got little fish tacos with some ranch, some cilantro, and some cabbage. Thank you very much for watching this. If you liked it, please hit the like button and keep your eyes out for more in the future. Cheers.